We'll get into that later. And here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkione, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing himself, currently teamless. It is DRG. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss, the other South Korean Protoss player, representing himself. Used to be on Match Arena, now teamless, looking for a team. It is NightMare. He's catching up in the chat. The face of a determined SC2 player. All in, never out. Ah. It's the chat's getting rowdy. Is this how Zerglings are hatched? You're all animals, Papi. You're all animals. Ay, ay, ay. I watched Immortal Never Boils. Yeah, it was unfortunate that the Immortal was as late as it was in that previous PvP. DRG has to be the most old school Korean in the game, right? That's a good question. Can anyone do any math? Can anyone check? Who debuted first? Who competed first in StarCraft? Was it DRG or Gumiho? I know Gumiho was an early adopter as well, right? Am I crazy? Has Gumiho been around as long as DRG, or is DRG still older? I'm not so sure. I'm curious about Gumiho. I'm also curious about Ryung. I know Ryung has been around for a long time as well. So I'm curious about those two. Gumiho, Ryung, and of course DRG. But they have been around for a very long time. Very long time. Great to see. DRG since at least 2011. Yeah, for sure. I know that Ryung was competing in 2012. But that's definitely something interesting to look into. For the time being, though, here we go. We do have a hatch gas pool opener here out of DRG. As I say that, link speed is on the way. We're investing into a handful of links. This is going to be to shut down the probe to get some scanning information across the map. Meanwhile, NightMare going for a standard opener himself, going for a gate expand into a Stargate. We do have a Stargate opener from NightMare, which is to be expected. NightMare, winding it back a little bit, he does typically thrive in the mid-game. In the mid-game, he's a very aggressive player, very in-your-face. And we'll see how he gets there. Do we have an Oracle opener or a Void Ray? My eyes are on NightMare. Meanwhile, DRG is more of a reactive player. We have seen him go for all-ins in the past, but that's typically on maps like Hardlead or maps like Oceanborn, on some of these other maps instead. These other smaller maps, I should emphasize. As he does shade in between the bases, going to be denying any kind of transferring workers between the main and the natural. But again, NightMare has to be very careful to lose the Adept, as Lings are going to be engaging, and the Adept will be forced back. Now joined with a second. Now 2 Adepts do one-shot drones. Now the reason why I bring up we have to be careful is when Ling Speed kicks in, if these Adepts get surrounded, the third base is going to be denied. The third will be denied here, so we need to keep these Adepts alive and get them back home. Oh, but this is a unique feature here of Alkione, and that is how narrow this entry point is towards the Xel'Naga. These Adepts are pretty safe. They're pretty safe here, controlling the Xel'Naga. Oracle is moving out. Xel'Naga tower even. Oracle's moving out. It is an Oracle first, into a second, into a third base. So standard opener out of NightMare. This should be leading into a Forge and a Twilight Council into +1 and Blink. But the Oracle does get into the third base. We do get a couple of drone kills. We get 3. Ooh, but we take a lot of damage. Oh my god. We do sustain a lot of damage here on the Oracle. Only 3 drones. NightMare has to get the hell out of there. Thankfully, does keep the Oracle alive. Can regenerate those shields. And we'll replace the first with a second. As NightMare does move out. Behind this, there's that Forge and Twilight Council that we spoke about. Should be +1 in Blink. There are +1 in Charge variations, so we'll keep an eye on the upgrade on that Twilight Council. Again, should be Blink from NightMare. So he does get one more drone kill at the third. And DRG, his tech of choice is going to be +1 melee. Now, this can be straight up Ling Bane into Hydra. This could just be Ling Bane into Hive Tech, or Ling Bane into Roach Ravager. We'll wait a little bit longer, we'll wait for the lair to be thrown down, and by then we'll see if we do invest into a Roach Warren. So we do catch a couple more drones. Behind this, there it is, Blink is on the horizon. We do have a bit of a gateway explosion. It's going to be 5 gates up and running. A little bit more than usual. There it is, 6th gateway, 7th gateway on the way. Oh my god, NightMare throwing down a lot of production, which means we are going to be pushing on 3 bases. Again, typically this much production isn't necessary. We can afford to invest into a Robo, a Bay, Colossus production, Immortals, Archons even. Whatever you so choose. But no, NightMare is doubling down on Blink Stalkers. And his goal is going to be to apply pressure and maybe even deny the 4th. As the 4th base is on the way. Lair is halfway done. There's that Roach Horn that we spoke about. So it is going to be Ling Bane, Roach Ravager. A very standard composition here for DRG. Nothing too crazy. He isn't cutting any corners. He's not trying to rush into Ling Bane Hydra, for example. 4th base is on the way. And NightMare should soon be pushing. But we have yet to go for another warp in. We skip we skip the Stalker warp in. Instead, we do go for the 4th base. We have our gateways, but we're not making use of them. Not fully. So NightMare maybe just investing just in case his opponent were to be aggressive himself. Robo is on the way. And this should lead into a Bay into Colossus, but we'll see. Keep an eye on NightMare. So Robo is now done. We do see DRG pushing out towards the left-hand side. Just fine for map control. I don't think DRG intends to commit. Yeah, he's teching. He's teching, he's droning his 4th base. Infestation Pit is on the way here for DRG for Hive Tech. And there is that Bay. 2nd Robo, double Colossus production. So NightMare is going for a tech-heavy style. He finally has built up his Stalker count. Now he's moving out towards that 4th, as we did mention. But again, he did take the 4th base before moving out. So a much more economic variation here from NightMare before pushing. So he's not all in by any means. He's working on the next step, which is the 4th and the Colossus. At the same time, DRG coming with a Ling run by. But the wall is not. The wall is a wall. It's solid. We're not hero. This NightMare does snipe a queen. Gets a queen, pulls back. Ooh, bleeds out a couple of Stalkers. Blinks were late. Not ideal. He is going to be able to focus on those Ravagers though. Really good target firing out of NightMare. Does get a good chunk of them. Does bring them down. Meanwhile, behind this, he's just going to be taking a defensive stance. Again, working towards Colossus production. A little bit supply blocked, but they're on the way. And again, because Colossi are in production, NightMare, he's applying pressure, yes, but he shouldn't be pushing too deep onto creep. He's just forcing a reaction, dancing with the army. Let's get a couple of queens. Queens are coming in, do trigger a stasis trap. And decent trades here from NightMare. At the same time, DRG ready for his own run-by. Working towards his Hive Tech, working towards Vipers more importantly, which shows us that even though NightMare is working towards Colossus, which is good, don't get me wrong, Colossus can wreak havoc and be terrifying here in a PvZ. Despite that, Vipers will soon be available, and that is a good way to shut down Colossus. And the army's just dancing with each other. DRG is maxed out. We have Adrenal on the way. +3 melee, and we are actually collapsing here on top of the Stalkers. As DRG will pull back. Calm down, Bobby. Also behind this, we have an Ultra Cavern. This is a very Dark-esque playstyle. Dark, he's very fond of going into Ultras as a transition out of Ling Bane, Roach Ravager. to make use of the melee upgrades. Again, we haven't invested into range whatsoever, so just making full use of melee, getting into ultras. No Vipers yet, but DRG, he hasn't really seen anything to tell him to make Vipers. Ooh, as NightMare is going into Immortals out of Colossus. He hasn't seen the Ultra Cavern, but again, a really good call. Really good call here from NightMare. How many Colossi do we have? Only 2. But switching into all these Immortals, I say all of them. There's 2 Robos, soon to be a 3rd Robo. We're gonna be making 3 Immortals at a time. It's gonna be insane. Triple Immortal production. Again, good against Roaches, Ravagers, and Ultras. The run back comes in. We're in position. The wall looking solid once again. The Immortals are revealed. Oh no! As we get surrounded, the Lings, they do catch them out. Overcharge is pop, barely keeping those Immortals alive. Good retargeting by NightMare. Not responding in the Lings, they break in. Amidst all the chaos, they do bust into the National Base. Probes are going down. At the same time, NightMare pushes in as well. Unable to break through. To fully break through, has to pull back to his gold. Still does hold on to his Colossus. The Immortals, they survived. Ooh, barely. Did survive, and at least NightMare only lost 7 probes. Could have been so much worse. As DRG has map control, he's just been containing NightMare. Creep is spreading towards all corners of the map. But I still want to give the edge to NightMare a little bit here. I mean, hey, we're still making 3 Immortals at a time, and now we have a transition into Sky Toss. Oh boy. Now suddenly, DRG, he's on a timer. We gotta go. We gotta make this army work, and that's sooner rather than later. Time is working against him. Again, no Hydrogen, no Spire, very limited anti-air. He is not ready for Sky Toss at all. Now, thankfully, Sky Toss is still a ways off. Like, it takes a while to make the Stargates, and then the Carriers. Production time, it's quite high. Bailings are rolling, and they do crash through the Zealots. Zealots just barely go down. Lings, they bust into the Natural. At the same time, the main army does crash into the Immortals. But the Ultras, they melt. The power of the Immortal. The Ultras, they do nothing against them. 4 Immortals, they stand strong. And DRG is forced back. Lings, they did get in, but they didn't get any damage done. A nice warp in, defensive warp in from NightMare, and now he's pushing. Zealots towards the left, main army towards the right. And DRG, he just lost all his Ultras. 4 more on the way, but it's going to take some time. It is going to take time here. Drones are going down to the Zealots as they run into an Ultra. Lings in the main base were cleaned up. Mothership is on the way. Do we have a carrier? Not yet. The Mothership is in production. Now, thankfully, as we're getting into a Mothership and working towards Sky Toss, we have a Spire. DRG, he threw down a Spire. He's soon to be getting ready for upgrades for a greater Spire. Hasn't seen the Sky Toss yet, but it's in the back of his mind. Good target firing on the Ultra. Roaches, they are busting in at the same time. DRG trying to pull apart the attention. The Storms! Oh my god! Massive Storms on the Lings, and the Ultras, they're exposed. They're all naked. Ultras are forced back, and they barely will not make it. Oh god. As we're going to lose every single Ultra. 2 of them, they do escape, thankfully. But that was not it. DRG trying to pull apart the attention of NightMare, and really he pulled apart his own attention. The Roaches are forced back. The Ultras fell. Now would be a really good time for carriers. I'll be honest. That would be a really good time for this. After killing so many Ultras, but no, we're just committed to Immortals. I mean, not a bad option. I would be concerned for NightMare if we had a greater Spire. Like, if DRG was working towards Broodlords, then I'd be afraid for NightMare. But that's not really on the table yet. Like, this is still working. This is still fine for the Protoss. Still fine, but... like, as long as DRG keeps making Ultras, then NightMare is going to be trading well. But there it is. Greater Spires on the way. DRG is thinking about those Broodlords. Now, thankfully for NightMare, DRG doesn't have any upgrades. It's only a single Spire. If he does get into Broodlords, they're going to be 0/0 Broodlords. Which is less than ideal. He's pushing in Storms. Ooh, good Storms here on the Lings. We do clean them up. Corruptors are on the way. Mothership has been revealed, which means we are fully aware of the Fleet Beacon. Where the Fleet Beacon. You see DRG trying to set up a surround. Stasis traps have been thrown down the slow zone as well. NightMare just popping all his abilities. The panic cloak, the panic slow zone. Calm down. Corruptors are on the way. NightMare doesn't push in. DRG holds onto his gold, expanding towards the top left. His economy is still looking decent. DRG has been bleeding out some drones. He hasn't replaced them. I'm a little bit concerned. Like, DRG has a mineral bank, not a gas bank. He's down to 68 workers. NightMare pushing in. Good Storm Shield on the Banelings once again. The Link Bane melts. Corruptors, they do push forward. They can maybe get the Mothership. But what else? They're going for the Colossus. Oh, and there's only 2 Stalkers. Where's the anti-air? Where's the anti-air as the Colossus goes down? Only 2 Stalkers. DRG is pushing through, gets on top of the High Templar. Oh my god. But there we go, Stalkers, they have arrived. But this is a rough moment here for NightMare. Does clean up the Ultras. Can dive on top of the Queens. But that was an expensive loss for the Protoss. He lost the Mothership, he lost Immortals, he lost the Colossus. That was a brutal fight. And from here, there it is. Broodlords are on the way. And even though I was talking about how, like, oh, DRG's on a timer, you know, Skytoss is on the horizon, and we're gonna get into carriers. Nothing. We have 3 Stargates and not a single carrier. And now we have Broodlords. And as I say, he's listening to the stream, Papi. As I say that, now we have carriers on the way, but better late than never, I suppose. They're finally coming out. But the Broodlords will hit first. They're already here. The Broodlords, they have arrived. DRG redroning at least a little bit. I'm still worried about the low worker count of DRG and the low gas bank as well. He's been throwing away a lot of Ultras. Big stasis. Oh my god. Quickly checking here. 16 Ultras have died this game. Oh my, that's a lot of Ultras. The trades have been disgusting. Which is why I don't blame NightMare for delaying carrier production too much, just because we've been committing so hard to these Ultras, and the carriers, they have arrived. At least the first 2. The first 2 carriers do roll in. And I believe we haven't seen the Broodlords yet. I don't think we've scouted them. As Broodlords, they have avoided the revelation until now. NightMare does confirm the Broodlords. Now, against Broodlords specifically, it isn't just like quote-unquote Skytoss that's good against them. I would prefer Tempest. Because Tempest, of course, they do outrange them. They can punish them as well. And they force the Corruptors to close the distance and actually try to get on top of you and get within range of Storm, get within range of Archons, of Stalkers. Carriers are okay, but we'll see. We shall see. As DRG does go for a big Ultra run, but he catches the base. Does come across the base. It's going to be going down at the same time. We try to respond here, but the Ultras, they do trade well. As I say that, the Immortals, they go to town here. 3 Ultras go down. We're going to get the 4th as well. At the same time, NightMare pushing up the ramp. Moving out towards those Broodlords. Can he get on top of them? Can he break through? He will lose a mineral line. 15 probes go down. As we do focus on the hatchery. And where are the Corruptors? Barely any. The carriers, they break through the gold base. It does get shut down. 3 more carriers on the way, but we have 13 Corruptors in production. And those Ultras, they're still not done. They're going for another base. And NightMare, he pulls back. He pulls back home. Shuts those Ultras down. And yeah, there's nothing else behind this. There is no bank for DRG. I was worried about the low drone count. And he does tap out. GG gets called. NightMare takes game number 1. Whew. GG. DRG, I think he went down to like 60 drones towards the end. Like he had no economy. Like part of me feels like that was a bit of a lackluster end to the game, because it's like, oh, you know, like DRG, he's got bases, right? He's got corruptors on the way, but he had no economy. He just was never really replacing the drones that he was losing, and because of that, he just couldn't make an army. He went down to 120, 130 supply there. He plummeted after losing all those ultras. Couldn't replace them. He could not replace those ultras. He could not afford anything after that. GG. GG, well played. He bleeds out. NightMare takes game 1. Congratulations. Congratulations here. Wait, is Mothership Cloak not a passive ability? Not anymore. Not anymore. Just in case, for those who maybe missed the recent patch, and when I say recent patch, October of last year, the Mothership was changed. It was changed last year in October. The Mothership is now cheaper. It's now 300 instead of 400, so it's cheaper. It also has new abilities. It has the slow zone. It has the cloak as well, which is an aura around it, which is an activatable ability. It also costs less supply. It takes less supply, so it's a little bit more efficient. It's a better use of resources now. It's a better supportive unit. I think most would say it's better than it was. But with that, GG, well played. NightMare does take game number 1, and now we're headed into game number 2. Let's go. Here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of side Delta, we have our South Korean Zerg player. The red Zerg, currently teamless. Down in this series, looking to fight back. It is DRG. Losing like 20 ultras last game. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss, the blue Protoss player, representing himself, also teamless, but leading the series 1-0. It is NightMare. The kids move fast, but the old heads think faster. Oh, it's possible. It's possible. I mean, that's the most impressive thing about players like DRG, Gumiho, Ryung. They're still able to keep up, right? Like, I mean, Ryung, one of the older players in the scene, like he took Clem down, for example, right? Like that's the biggest example, the extreme, right? Byun beating Clem. The other example of that is maybe DRG beating Byun. But I guess Byun isn't as young, but he's still fast, nonetheless. Is still fast. So, you know, they still got it, papi. They still got it. And we say they're old, but I think DRG, he's like, what? How old is he? He's like 28? No. Is he 30? He's 32. He's fine. He's fine. He's still got a kick in his step. He's still got, like, hope in his eyes. He's all good. 32. But how old is Ryung? I'm curious. Ryung is also 32. Wait, who's older? Ryung is April. DRG is June. Oh, there you go. Technically older. Ryung, I mean, technically older. Slightly, by a couple of months. How old is Gumiho? Gumiho, 31. Oh, he's a child. A whole year younger than DRG and Ryung. He's a kid. Cap. I think to go a little bit off topic about the series that we're casting is Hatchgas Pool out of DRG, Forsake the Unnatural and Natural. Gate expanded into Stargate from NightMare once again, so standard opener for both players. But to deviate a little bit, I think the crazy thing for me that is always a little bit eye-opening. I guess, I mean, you know, we've been watching StarCraft for many years now. Like, I've been watching ever since like 2010, 2011, since the StarCraft beta back in the Husky days and stuff like that. And I recognize all these names, and I guess it's sometimes easy to forget how long it's been, right? Easy to forget how many years have passed, and it's always weird to remember that Solar, Hero, and Dark, the 3 players I just named, they're all married. Like they're all like they're all married. Like they have families. Like they don't have kids, not yet, but I mean they have a wife, you know, they have a house. Like they're like that's just crazy to think about. Like just the time of passage that's come. As we're getting damage done, Lings we kill the pylon. Oh no, things are popping off. We get a kill on the pylon. We slip into the main base. That's where we're releasing. Probes are going to be going down across the map, but DRG getting a surprising amount of damage done with these Lings. Oh my god. 6 probes do go down and a pylon. This is game-ending damage. This could be it. Lings are flooding across the map. Void Ray has arrived. We repower these buildings, but 7 probes go down. 8 probes go down as well. Ay ay ay. Again, NightMare caught with his pants down. His adepts were across the map. They were not back at home. That was 10 Lings, by the way. 10 Lings. They got in. They kill 9 probes. They kill a pylon. And just like that, DRG has a massive lead. Thankfully, NightMare was able to reciprocate. I mean, he only killed 2, though. He killed 2 drones across the map, which was okay. But again, that was a big win for DRG. He only invested into 12 Lings to harass. And he did more than enough. More than enough damage, just catching NightMare off guard. And now the pressure is on NightMare. We have to fight back. Void Ray does end up supply blocking DRG. Is supply blocked. Oracle comes in. There is no spore. We get 1, we get 2, we get 3. Oh my god. 4, 5? Never mind. Oh god. 5 worker kills. The Oracle will barely escape. 5 drones go down, and behind this, we're following this up with a Twilight Council, no Forge, no upgrades, Glaive Adepts. Oh boy, here we go. As the Void Ray does force out a couple of spores, trying to get another drone kill. We do get 1. Not bad. Again, NightMare, he is evening up that worker count, that kill count. But this is going to be a very committed attack. We have 2 gateways here at the natural. We have 2 more gateways in the main. 4 gates in total. So 4 gateways. Now, this is not an all-in. As a reminder, this is not an all-in, but this is a way to harass, to cripple the economy, and to get ahead. Oh, as the stasis trap goes off. Stasis trap at the 3rd. Speaking of, 3rd base should soon be on the way. Now, the way this works, there's no robo. There's no robo with this. We should be taking a 3rd. We should be expanding. And without a robo, that means we have to walk across the map. It's going to be a bit of a delayed push and no reinforcements. But potential nonetheless. As though it is, 3rd base is on the way for NightMare. Meanwhile, DRG amassing 20 Lings. Oh my god. Here we go. It's going to be 9 Adepts moving out here for NightMare. But 20 Lings are amassing. Baneling Ness is about to finish up as well. DRG, he will have an army to deal with this. He will have a massive amount of Lings just in time to engage. To chase down those shades. NightMare moving out towards that 3rd. Doesn't commit. Gets into the mineral line. Uh-oh. And drones are going down. We have 4 worker kills here at the 3rd. We got 5 worker kills in total. We shade out. We get the hell out of there. So far, really nice damage. NightMare, he barely loses any of his adepts. Gets 5 workers, and he can shade back in. And throughout all of this, NightMare, he's establishing his 3rd. He's establishing that 3rd base. Adepts turning back around, coming back home. And despite the chaotic start here, where are we exactly? I mean, NightMare, he's still down 20 workers. Oh my god, I didn't realize just how heavily DRG has been droning. Saturating his 3rd, getting his 4th, double X. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a double expand. But getting his 4th base. It was nice damage from NightMare, but we clearly needed more. Did need more. The Oracle goes down. Oof. Getting an extra 2 workers. DRG, we're pushing. We've already droned up. We've droned up to 4 base saturation, 70 workers. That's all we need. Massing Lings and Banelings across the map, and we're going to be crashing into this 3rd base. And can NightMare hold? No splash damage. Blink still on the horizon. +1 attack still on the way. We have to be careful to be premature. We're going to be backing off. Calm down, Papi. Calm down. Pulling back with our Ling Bane. I don't think we really expected that many Stalkers. Thankfully, NightMare, he does hold. Across the map, we have 38 more Lings in production. A Rocheborn as well, Infestation Bit. So it looks like DRG isn't going to be committing, but he comes across the 4th. Just in time, forces a cancel. containing NightMare to 3 bases, getting further ahead. And DRG just taking up towards that hive, droning as well, getting even a stronger saturation at that 4th base. Well, as NightMare does catch the Lings, not bad. Does shave off a lot of them. Oh, they just engage. DRG doesn't care. This is a brutal trade here. Stalker's going down for Lings. Not worth it for NightMare. Ay, ay, ay. And we are out of position. DRG going for a massive Link counterattack. We catch more Stalkers. Shield battery goes down. We get into the mineral line. Boys have to evacuate. And again, trading minerals for gas here. Very efficient trade for DRG. We lose 8 Stalkers. Are we going for the 4th? A little bit greedy, but he's going for it. Almost gets us around. NightMare, can we save the Nexus? It's going to be close. And it looks like we barely can. Whew. Not the best moment for DRG. We have a pool of blood surrounding that Nexus, but it lives, it survives. NightMare moving out. DRG, though, again, just bleeding out Lings, amassing roaches back at home. Catches the Adepts. And again, the pressure is on NightMare right now. Still with the Gateway Army. Still lacking any other form of tech. No Immortals, no Disruptors, no Colossus. No Skytoss. NightMare is being forced further and further back. And DRG is still running away with this. Forcing NightMare all the way back to his own 4th base. The base that is barely standing, by the way. Oh, but have we bled out too much? Uh oh. Good kiting there, out of NightMare. DRG just turns around and fights, reinforces with more Lings. A good trade here for DRG. At the same time, Banelings are rolling in, and there's no escape. Crash into the middle line. 15 probes go down. 19 probes go down. And it looks like NightMare is going to clean up all these roaches, but his economy was already struggling, and now even more so. It's in shambles, back. Shambles. NightMare does push in. At the same time, big Link counterattack. We shut down the shield battery. We go for the 3rd. Not the base I expected to die, but we get the 3rd. It does go down. The 4th still barely standing, by the way. Probes are getting caught out. Nice adept counterattack. We do manage to get into a mineral line, but this is a bit of a desperation move here out of NightMare. Desperately getting a couple of drones, but still losing so much across the map. The Lings, they get into the 4th. No shield battery. Cannon's going to go down. The probes thereafter, and the Nexus. NightMare is all in. It's all or nothing for NightMare, and he is trading well. But he's running out of steam. He's running out of Stalkers. And DRG is still remaxing. Still rebuilding his army. The Adepts are still going ham. Still doing well. Stalkers, they do break in. Adepts, they shade into the mineral line, into the natural. But the Stalkers, we can't replace them. We can't rebuild. Yeah, we're bleeding out too much. Again, Adepts, they are surrounded. DRG is keeping up here, both at the natural and the 3rd base. In the main, we get a couple more drones. But DRG still has double the worker count of NightMare. Has caused a lot of chaos. Has caused a lot of chaos, but there's only so much he can do. Going for another big warping of Stalkers. Void Ray is going to fall. Adepts have been cleaned up. There's one Adept left here back at home. Shout out to NightMare resisting the urge to ever A move, or F2 A move, I should say. No all army hockey. We collapse here on the Stalkers. GG gets called, and DRG fights back. We're going to the ace match. GG. GG, well played. Oh my god. As again, I apologize for being a little bit distracted, reminiscing about the StarCraft scene and how old it is. So I missed out on the initial Ling Flood. I say Ling Flood, again, it was 12 Lings overall, able to slip past the Adepts, get into the natural base, and cause so much damage, and that forced the chain of events to occur, where NightMare had to desperately counterattack, went into Glaive Adepts as a follow-up, was able to do some damage, but still unable to recover from his earlier deficits. Again, losing probes early on in the game is worse than later on. Again, just because you have so much less to work with, so it's that much more impactful to lose probes in the early game, and NightMare wasn't quite able to recover. He was perpetually behind in that game in the follow-up from those events. DRG was, for the most part, in the driver's seat. GG. GG, well played. We have an ace match. We have a game 3. Here we go. And now we have the final game of the series. The final game here. We're going to be loading into Oceanborn to determine who qualifies for GSL. Who's it going to be? Who will make it through and who will be knocked down to the lower bracket? Let's go. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing himself, tying up the series 1-1 in that last game. It is DRG. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, being forced into the ace match. Can he bring it back? It is NightMare. And it is unfortunate that they do have to play against each other. They are facing off. Love to see them both qualify, but for now at least there's only room for one. There is a second chance. There is that lower bracket that they can fight through. We'll see if they can make it there. Or if they can make it through that lower bracket. But now DRG going for a hatch gas pull. Unnatural, natural. Forced into a more uncomfortable position here on Oceanborn. Meanwhile, across the map, NightMare just going to be going for his own standard opener as well. Nothing too crazy for the time being. Nothing too crazy yet. We'll keep an eye on when DRG does move out with his Lings. Likewise, we're going to be loading into Oceanborn. Shorter rushes by ground. If DRG wanted to be aggressive, I can see that happening here on Oceanborn as well. I am curious. Again, in general, I don't see many or either of these two players really thriving in the late game, and we saw that on Alkione, and it was a messy, it was a messy game, but it was a messy game. I don't imagine either one wants to go there again. We'll see how hard we commit. I do see NightMare just trying to keep an eye here on DRG. Trying to keep an eye on him. Make sure that everything is as it should be. We have our pylon placement. Based on the pylon placement, it looks like a Stargate opener from NightMare is closer to the edge of the map, closer to the edge of his main, just so he can get his Oracle across the map that much faster. And there it is, Stargate has been thrown down. So it should be an Oracle opener from NightMare. There are players that go Void Ray or Phoenix. You know, we've seen that plenty of times at a Classic. We've seen that at a NightMare a couple of times as well. But so far, every game in this series has been an Oracle, into a second Oracle, into a third base, into a third Oracle. In the same opener, game after game. I don't expect NightMare to deviate in the ace match, but we'll see. We shall see. NightMare, being as annoying as possible, does delay the third. Of course, the case of that pylon, Adept is almost there, but we don't quite make it. The goal there was for the probe to buy time for the Adepts to maybe get in and get a kill on that drone to delay the third, but NightMare just barely wasn't able to make it. Does shade into the main. Oh. Shades into the main base. Quick sport trick there out of DRG, saving two of those drones. Ooh, and does get a kill on the Adept. Nice moves there out of DRG. NightMare just being a little bit too greedy, doesn't get a single drone kill. Ooh, not worth it at all. And as Link Speed is finishing up, DRG can push. It can make life difficult here for NightMare to expand and take this third. Oracle is moving out. Lings moving in. So the goal here for DRG is to get on top of this probe before the third base gets thrown down. It's going to be close, but Link Speed has kicked in, and we do dive in. We go for the probe, and we will get it. Oh, oh. Oof. Probe goes down. Third base is delayed. Another probe comes out. If DRG wasn't feeling spicy, he would go back in and get a kill again for a second time, but he backs up. Does zip in a little bit later. Oracle gets across the map, gets 2 drone kills. Only 2, and we lose the Oracle! A big loss there for NightMare, losing an Adept, losing an Oracle for only 2 drones, not worth it. Again, a bit of miscontrol out of NightMare. He got a little bit too greedy. He flew too close to the sun, and he did get burned. It's not over yet. He still has additional Oracles, but that is a big blow already, a big loss. Does get into the natural. Well, only 1 queen. Yeah, we can ignore the queen. 3 drones. Force out some spores. Nice bit of damage there from NightMare. Adepts are moving out towards the left. Adepts through the center. And the pressure is on. Behind this, Forge, Twilight Council +1. Soon to be Blink, I imagine. Blink gonna be on the way. And we do actually come back home with the Adepts, never mind. I assumed that maybe we would try to harass at multiple locations at once, but no, NightMare, he thinks better of it. He consolidates his army, brings everything together. We have confirmation it is Blink. Gonna be Blink and +1. Meanwhile, DRG going for his Lair and his Roach Warren at the same time at around the 5-minute mark. So Lingbane Roach Ravager once again from DRG. Nothing too fancy. We're not going into Mutas. We're not going into Hydras. We're not spicing things up. Nah, we don't need it. More standard play instead. Meanwhile, we do get on top of the 4th base. Ooh, forcing a cancel. Not bad. The Lynx, they get a surround though. They collapse on the Adepts. 2 of them go down. We focus down an Oracle. We get a 3rd Adept as well. And NightMare bleeding out far too much. This should not be happening. Losing 2 Oracles already. We're down to 1. Now, what's scary here is Oracles. So, a couple of things. 1, Oracles are designed not just to get harassing damage done. They're designed to give you scouting information. They're designed to support your Stalkers. When your Stalker army moves out, we need those Oracles to help protect them, of course. To help protect them against any Ling run-bys, any Ling surrounds, with stasis traps, with their Pulsar Beam. So these Stalkers are that much weaker. These Stalkers are that much more vulnerable because of the lack of Oracles. Like in this moment here. Lings, they come in. There's 1 Oracle to defend as opposed to 3. We do clean this up, but again, it's a much more difficult defense for NightMare. So he has less of a threatening force here with his Stalkers, taking a 4th base. How many gateways do we have? We're on 6 gates for the time being. Enough to defend the 4th. But NightMare, I don't see him really doing much damage across the map. Behind this, DRG just expanding, taking his 4th, droning. Hive is already on the way. Baneling Nest as well. Throwing down the 2nd Baneling Nest, you know, just to be sure. Oh wait, no, Eva Chamber. Yeah, we're good. Eva Chamber on the way. We catch even more Stalkers. Ooh, and NightMare, he's actually setting up a proxy location. Okay, he's going up to 8 gateways. We can use this to reinforce. And NightMare, we're committing. Happy. Okay. We are going to be warping in. We are going to be committing here with this Blink Stalker push. DRG, he does have his Roach Warren. He has amassed a handful of Roaches. But can he defend? NightMare is pushing out as he moves out. We just warped in, by the way, which means we don't have much of him to defend. And DRG, he does get a surround. Can he get the Nexus? Pylon does fall. Next is getting low. At the same time, NightMare, he gets a kill on the 4th base of DRG. Hatchery goes down. So does the Nexus. We're trading a base for a base. Juicy revelation there for NightMare. DRG doesn't just get the hatchery though, he doesn't just get the Nexus, he also kills the units here, the pylon, the probes. I want to say this is a better pick-off for DRG, especially since he's already got a 4th. He double expanded, has another base up and running, surrounds those Stalkers, forcing that blink. And NightMare, he's coming back. Turns back around. Comes back home, reinforcing with more Stalkers. How many Stalkers do we have? 35. Oh my, 35 Stalkers. We're taking up into Ultras? I don't think we can. We need an army. Can we survive? Can we hold on? Lings, they collapse on this from behind. A good trade for DRG. Bleeding out mainly Lings. NightMare expanding towards the center. Now this base is more exposed, but it is behind the proxy location, so it is going to be easier to reinforce. NightMare pushing on this side as well. Proxy has been scouted. Things are being shut down. Likewise, DRG just amassing his army. Kindness plating is on the way. We haven't started Ultras yet, but soon we will. DRG maybe being a little bit too aggressive here. Has to calm down. Up against purely a Stalker army. Second Robo is on the way. Sorry, first Robo is on the way. My god. Charge as well. NightMare pushing towards the new 4th base of DRG. Forces out a transfuse. Force a response here. Lings, they coming from behind. Oh, we do catch the army. Big pickoffs. Big surround. We force the recall as well, but so many Stalkers are going to be falling. A big loss for NightMare once again. Gets caught out. And DRG's maxed. He's maxed out at this point. Moving out with his army. Collapses on those Stalkers once again. Shuts down the proxy location. And now we can push towards a 4th. But there's no shield battery. It's not ready. Not ready yet. Files on the Stalkers. And reinforcements are on the way. The Ultras, they've arrived. They made it. And at the same time, DRG is going for the 3rd. Pushing towards the 4th. Ultras are going down. Looks like these roaches are going to be cleaned up. What about the mineral line? What about the 3rd base? We're defending. Not bad. Clutch Warping of Zealots. We clean up all the Lings. NightMare does hold. But behind this DRG, he has a better economy. He is remaxing. Has to be careful though. Again, he didn't really kill any probes. He hasn't touched the economy of NightMare. NightMare, he can fight back. He's getting into double immortal production. With 2 more Robos, triple immortal production even. And reminded of Alcyone. Can NightMare get there? He just needs a little bit more time to get into those immortals. As the game is going to be settling, we're calming things down, we're calming things down. Looking at the immortal count, we're still only on 1, but we are making 3 at a time. It is slowly getting higher. The quality of the army for NightMare is just getting better and better. DRG, can we do something about the economy? Good stasis trap. Oh my god. We do create a wall. NightMare does hold. Likewise, DRG being forced back. Behind this, I'm getting more and more concerned for DRG that we will need something greater. Like a Spire, like a greater Spire even. Here come the Ultras. And can we get the base? Stasis trap does run out. We're going for the probes, and the Banelings, they will connect. 12 workers go down. We chase down the Stalkers. We run into the Immortals. I'm not going to be able to do much here. But the Immortals, they are going down. Yeah, there's no buffer. 4 Immortals fall. Lings, they come in from behind. A good trade here from DRG once again. He collapses on the army. And the Immortals, they were caught out. They were exposed. And without them, there's no dealing. There's no handling these Ultras. As we annihilate whatever is left. The economy, it's gone. GG gets called. And DRG, he snowballs out of control. And he takes the series 2-1, qualifying for GSL. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Dong Rei-gu as he makes it. I was getting concerned when I saw all the Immortals amassing. I was like, yo, this is not going to look so great in a head-to-head fight. We need something to deal with them. But in the end, we saw that DRG was able to surround those Stalkers, able to close the distance on those Immortals as well, get on top of them, and shut them down before they were able to gain much value at all. GG. Congratulations, DRG. He will be a part of this season's GSL, and NightMare is knocked down. He's knocked down to the lower half. He's knocked down to the lower brackets. And the question becomes, who does he play against? As a reminder, in this portion of the bracket, we have 3 slots available, 3 qualifying spots. One does go to Stats. Stats took down SOS. The other goes to DRG, as DRG does take his own series as well. So I'm just updating some scores. And who takes the 3rd slot? That is the question. We're about to find out here. Let me just quickly double check. Okay, we have our next series. We have our next matchup. I'm just updating the spreadsheet. Keeping track of everything. Keeping track of everything. Here we go as we switch our scenes over to have a look at our matches. Here it is. We have Stats over SOS. We have a DRG over NightMare. And both SOS and NightMare were knocked down to the lower bracket. And apparently SOS was unable to make it to another qualifying match because SOS got knocked out by a bit of a wild card by Rex. Rex, the best Zerg player in all of Taiwan, he is currently residing in South Korea, and Rex eliminated SOS in the lead up to the qualifying match. So my heart goes out to SOS. I would have loved to have seen him in another PvP, but SOS has not made it. He has not made it. He will not be a part of GSL. Instead, it's going to be between Rex and NightMare.